Today, I'm going to take you through the entire process of how I made this customized wooden name sign. Hey everyone, my name is Tim and welcome back to another episode of Casual Builds, the channel focused on bringing you beginner DIY and woodworking content. So I got my CNC about 2 years ago, right around the same time that my first daughter was born, and one of my first projects was making a little customized sign that's hanging up in her room. It was pretty basic. I cut her name out of MDF, I put it on some plywood, added a nice little frame. But now that I have 2 years of woodworking experience under my belt and then also using the CNC, and considering that we just welcomed our second daughter into the world about a month ago, I thought now would be a perfect time to make another sign for her as well. So here's what I'm thinking. I have this piece of plywood. It's 3/4 inch, it's a little bit thick, but I'm just working with the materials that I have here in the shop, and I'm gonna cut a giant circle into it. And then I have these 2x that I'm gonna cut into little strips, 1 inch by 3 inches. And then when I have all of those strips cut, I'm going to glue them on top of the circle and create some sort of herringbone pattern. And on top of that, that's where I'm gonna put her name and maybe a little image as well. So to kick it off, we're gonna take this piece of plywood, we're gonna bring it over to the CNC, and we're gonna cut it out into a circle. In case you were wondering what CNC I have the X-Carve made by Inventables. At the time when I was shopping around, it seemed like the most beginner-friendly CNC, so that's ultimately why I bought it. They also have this free software called Easel that makes designing everything super easy to use. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link to their website down below if you want to go check them out. So I messed up setting the thickness on my CNC because, as you can see, it did not cut all the way through the back. So I'm gonna take my jigsaw, I'm gonna rough cut the circle and then use a flush trim bit on my router just to clean everything up. So now that we got the circle cut out, it's time to work on cutting out the strips for the herringbone pattern that's gonna sit on top. So these boards are in pretty rough shape, so I'm going to quickly rip them just so they can fit on my 6-inch jointer. I'm gonna run them through the jointer, and then I'm gonna take them over to the planer just to get them all flat, and then we're gonna cut them out into strips. So things are not going my way right now. What I'm trying to do is cut them into 1-inch strips, but I don't have a zero clearance insert on my table saw, so the offcuts just keep going down on the saw, and that's pretty dangerous and not safe. And not to mention, I wasn't paying attention and put the wrong side of my gripper in, so it took a chunk out, as you can see right there. So this is my word of advice to all of you. If you're not in the right mindset or headspace, step away from your tools and take a break and come back later. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. And the reason why I was cutting them into 1-inch strips is because for this herringbone pattern, you need to have a 3:1 ratio. And I was thinking about doing 1 inch by 3 inches, but they're a little bit over 1 inch. So I might just take that dimension, multiply it by 3, so I don't have to rip them anymore. And then I can just take up my cross-cut jig and then just cut them to the appropriate length. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and we'll go from there. So I just did a quick dry fit to make sure that I had enough pieces, and thankfully I do. So the next step is I'm going to be using my 18 gauge brad nailer with some 1-inch nails and attach everything to the plywood base along with some glue. If you have a pin nailer, highly recommend using one of those because this is going to leave some holes on the top, but that's going to be no problem. I'm going to come back with some wood filler just to clean those up. Now that I have the top all sanded down, the next step is to clean up all of these pieces that are overhanging off the circle. And to do that, I'm going to be using my jigsaw just to kind of get a rough cut all the way around. Then I'm going to use my router with a flush trim bit. After that, we're going to stain the top, and then we're going to head over to the CNC to cut out all the letters. So to create the design for the top, which will be the name and the little picture, you can either use Inventable's free software Easel and create the entire design there, or you can use Adobe Illustrator, which is what I did to create the entire design, export it over to Easel to send it back to the CNC to carve it out. So let me quickly explain how to go about doing that. Actually, you know what? Let me just show you. First, you'll want to head back to Easel and grab the dimensions of the circle that we cut out earlier. Open up Adobe Illustrator and draw a circle that's the same size. In my case, it was 22 inches. All right, now that we got a great circle, it's time to add some text and play around with the design. All right, looking pretty good. Now before saving the file, select all the text, then go up to Object and then hit Expand. Then save this as an SVG file. Go back into Easel, import the SVG. I used Easel's preloaded icons to find the picture, going with a 4-leaf clover because Chloe was born pretty close to St. Patrick's Day and I'm pretty sure she's like a quarter Irish. Now all that's left to do is to adjust the dimensions to match this piece of MDF. So we are nearing the end of this project. All that's left to do is add some color to the letters that we cut out on the CNC, attach it to the circle, and then put a nice coat of finish on top. Let me walk you through what I'm going to be doing. First things first, with MDF, you want to make sure that you prime it first before painting. Super important, MDF tends to soak up the paint. It just looks funny if you don't do it, so add some primer. Next, I'm going to be spraying the letters with some sort of variation of the spray paint colors you see here before me. Next, to attach everything to the circle, I'm just going to be using some 5-minute clear epoxy. And last, I'm gonna spray everything with a few coats of shellac. I'll leave links to all of this stuff as well as all the other tools that I use in this video down in the description below, so be sure to go check those out if you are interested. If you like this video so far and want to support my channel, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you are not already. So that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up.